Blitz!
I'm Travis Downey, and this is Adam Rosenberg, and this is this week's installment of the Northwest Florida Daily News' Prep Football Blitz. Get you guys set for Friday Night Lights and an abbreviated schedule. Several teams with bye weeks this week, much needed bye weeks. I know if you're Niceville, you're ready for a break, as are a lot of those schools right now. We'll start with this week's slate, District 1A. It's a race that there's starting to be some defined leaders with Freeport, Northview, Vernon's still in the mix. We're going to start with South Walton going on the road at J, a winless ball club, 0-5. South Walton coming off a tough loss to Freeport. How do you like this one going down?
Well, South Walton's kind of reeling. They're having a lot of trouble moving the football and scoring points. But I saw Jay play Freeport early in the year, and just frankly, they're not a very good football team this year. And it's it's a down year for them. They just don't have the personnel that they usually have. I like South Walton in this one just for the fact that Jay is not very good this year, and South Walton needs a win like this to just kind of right the ship.
Jay's been struggling the last couple of years. It seems like once a pretty proud program, and they've been scuffling. I like South Walton. I'm curious to see, though, we talk about how teams bounce back following tough losses. South Walton, they're now 2-3 in that district race, clearly looking up at a few schools ahead of them. I'm curious to see, do they fold up shop now, knowing that playoffs may be, out of the cards for this season or not. Right. So I'll go with South Walton. We're both taking the Seahawks on the road there. Now, West Florida at Choctawhatchee. Choctaw coming off of a big win last week, a wild win. How do you like their chances this week?
I'm going to go with Choctaw. West Florida's only 1-3 on the year, and the only team they beat is Gulf Breeze, who's not exactly a world beater. Choctaw, like you said, coming off an amazing win. Actually got back to the office from the game I was covering, and I still heard that game going on the radio. And I drove all the way back from Defuniak. So that game was a marathon. But, that's a game that if Choctaw lost that game, could have been devastating for them, just emotionally and confidence-wise. But the fact that they came out and won that game, I think that's going to give them a lot of a spark moving forward.
Yeah, a big reason to excel there, getting that one and holding home court. I like Choctaw in this one as well. I just think this is a team that they can beat, should beat, and need to beat if they want to, really have any chance at a postseason berth. District 2 4A, or a member of that district race, Crestview, coming off a huge win, overtime win over Fort Walton Beach last week. They play host to Milton. Milton, a team that's, we talk about teams that are kind of struggling. That'd be Milton. How do you like this one?
I like Crestview, but, I think Crestview's a team that's probably the most schizophrenic team we've seen this year. They come out and they get shelled by Navarre, and then they come out and just pull a gutsy win over Fort Walton Beach. I think Crestview has more talent. I think Crestview has a better defense, a more physical team. And if they come out and play like they're capable of and like they played against Fort Walton Beach, they'll come out with a win. If they come out and play like they did against Navarre, this could be a ball game.
I like Crestview, but not by very much. I'm like you. I don't know which Crestview team is going to show up from one week to the next. Having said that, I like Crestview's defense, and I like the potential for the running game. If they show up. I like Milton's quarterback a lot. He's a really athletic kid. He's got some nice playmakers at receiver. But I'm going to go with Crestview at home to get this win. Speaking of Fort Walton Beach coming off that 26-20 loss, they play host to Central, a team that just last week was ranked number 9 in Class 6A in the state of Alabama. They lost to then 8th-ranked Auburn, 6-point loss. Central's a really good team.
Yeah.
Do you think Fort Walton Beach has much of a chance?
I think they have a chance to, they can stay if they can stay close at the end. They've got a little bit of firepower on offense, but I think Central's going to win the game, and that's just because they're such a great football team. Competing in a tough division over there in Alabama and excelling so far. Fort Walton Beach just seems a little snake bit right now. Yeah. Just things not going their way. They've had a close loss to another out-of-state team in Clover, South Carolina. Right. They allow Crestview to convert on a 4th-down conversion last week. They give them the win. And, it's things are going about as badly as they can for Fort Walton, and it just seems like a lot of bad luck for a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I think Central's going to come out with the win, though.
I think I'm going with Central as well. It's a defense that's just stacked with speed. And speaking with Vikings head coach Mike Owens, it's allowed 9.2 points a game. Fort Walton Beach, they've had struggles at times putting points on the board. I just think Central's D is going to be a little bit too much for Fort Walton Beach, so we're going to both go with Central in that one. And that takes us to our game of the week. We were mentioning that District 1A race earlier. Northview at Freeport. Two teams are both 4-0 in that district right now. Freeport won last year, 42-12. And speaking with Coach Jim Anderson at Freeport earlier in the week, he said this Northview team is 100 times better, particularly on the lines, than they were a year ago. Looking at these two teams, how they match up, how do you pick this one?
Well, one thing about Jim Anderson, if Northview had lost every single starter from last year and was not any good at all, he would still say they were 100 times better. He's a guy that likes to talk up the other team, and that's kind of a psychological thing. That's not to say that Northview isn't a great football team, because so far they've showed that they are. I'm going with Freeport due to my patented home field advantage.
Sure.
And plus the fact that I like what I've seen out of Freeport, and I feel like in any game they play in their district, they're going to have the best player on the field, in Nick Ellington. And when it comes down to it, you can always give him the ball and hope he makes a play, and he more often than not will. So I'm going with Freeport at home. The running game's been great. The defense has been great. They're coming off a shutout over their rivals in South Walton. I just think everything's going right for the Bulldogs right now.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think Freeport gets the win. David Wesson, a key cog on that offense and that defense for Freeport. And speaking with him, it seems like the team, even though they're 4-0 and they won the game last year, they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because everyone's pointing to Northview being the better team in the district. And I also like the fact, that offense, one offensive touchdown a week ago, they're working really hard in practice this week. That's not going to get it done against Northview.
Right.
So if they can increase that, I like Freeport, especially with it being at home.
All right, well, thanks you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the limited slate of games we have this week, and we'll see you back here next week.